What's up, everyone? If you can hear me, and this microphone thing works through my mask, let me know. Because I really want to keep getting this oxygen, but I will ditch the mask if you can't hear me. Give me a couple comments. Anyone want to guess what I'm doing? Hey, Donna. Hey, Rudolph. The elemental heart. You guys can hear me alright? Alright, good deal. Alright, where am I? What am I doing? Did I get something? No. I am in my hyperbaric chamber right now. And in the back, those are my feet. And on the top there's a zipper. Above me, right up there, is a valve. I'm going to turn that when I want to get out. And Biohacking Brittany, if this was an ozone machine, I'd be dead. Because if you breathe ozone, it kills you. You can put it in your, well, as the Brits would say, in your bum. Here we'd say in your ass. So ozone is good for rectal and intravenous use, or you can do it in a sauna. As long as you never breathe it, it will affect you. Outside of the chamber that I'm in, there is a compressor that's compressing the atmospheric pressure around me to 1.4 atmospheres. Almost like I'm under probably 6 or 8 feet of water, except I don't feel like that. And then I'm breathing about 8 liters per minute of oxygen through this mask. When you smush yourself like this, what you end up getting is the cells in your body get a little bit smaller. They get compressed together. And that means the electrons that are moving around millions of times a second inside them have less distance to travel. And your whole body actually functions much better. You feel really good. It gets oxygen to areas that don't get oxygen as readily. And it actually causes your brain to regrow if you've had brain injury. So this is part of my anti-aging strategy. And I like to do this at least a couple times a week. And now that I'm home for a long time, my plan is to do another 40 sessions as if I'd had a new brain injury. I haven't actually had a good hit to the head in probably 2 years now, but I had a pretty good one not so long ago. So it takes a while to heal. It becomes invisible. And also, given that the coronavirus, which I do not have, it causes hypoxia via 2 different mechanisms that we understand now, which is actually responsible for almost every one of the symptoms except for the lung damage. Given that that's something that to be concerned about, I can tell you hyperbaric oxygen is going to be more effective for people than a ventilator. What's going on with the coronavirus is interesting. It damages the endothelial lining of the body, and it probably infects the endothelium of your blood vessels. In the lungs, it's probably actually damage from something else that's causing all of the havoc, although it is also infected. So when you have damage to the lining of the lungs, microcirculation doesn't work, but it's actually damaging hemoglobin in the blood, which means who cares if you can breathe? You can't move the blood around if carrying oxygen away, because there's no oxygen in the blood if the hemoglobin is damaged. So then what do? Well, if you were in a pressurized oxygen environment, you don't need blood to get oxygen into the cells. You can actually push it straight in. Alright, a little bit on hyperbaric stuff. If you listen to the podcast with Dr. Harch, H-A-R-C-H, on Bulletproof Radio, we go really into this. It's super cool. Daniel Eamon has talked about it. Several different people have talked about oxygen and what it can do. Alright, Christy, you like the hat? Everyone likes the hat. Let's see, Motorbike Wilderness Woman, I love the name, likes the hat. My daughter made this for me, actually. Check out those copper things. Is that, like, kind of cool or what? So there's copper coils. We did this at a New Year's Eve. I have a group of friends from Burning Man. We all get together and we have a big party. And then the next day we get together with our kids and we have a little crafting party. So my daughter was, I think, 12 when she made me this hat. Alright. Ozone through olive oil. Ozonites. This is a question from Jane Butler. You know, Jane, ozonated olive oil is really amazing stuff. You can use it rectally. You can use it topically. And you actually can eat that stuff. You can eat just a little bit, and it can really help you get rid of some toxins. Let's see. MMT coach Natalie Joe says, how does this affect healthy tissues? Hyperbaric, I mean, your skin glows. You feel good. It's actually really an anti-aging therapy. It's for cognitive performance. It makes you feel really good. I've got about maybe 18 more minutes before I've got a call set up. But I wanted just to take a few minutes to answer some questions for you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen the posts In the last couple, I just was like, I'm going to tell people what I think on my main page on Instagram, and people have gotten a little worked up about some of them, which actually makes me laugh, because, what the heck? If you're going to say what it is, you got to say what it is. Christoph P. Don't I think my ego, and by the way, your has an apostrophe in it, has been using this whole pandemic to sell your products and boost your brand? I would like, Christoph, for you to find one link to Bulletproof products here. What I'm doing is I'm sharing my 20 years worth of knowledge for free with people who really could use it right now. And if you have a problem with it, there's an unsubscribe button. It's like right down there. You can use it, man. I'm totally good with that. I'm going to help. I have no problem with this. And if more people want to listen to what I have to say, it's probably because it matters or because it's helping them. People are smart enough to unsubscribe if what I'm saying is dumb. All right. Do I feel my ears plugged? It's interesting. There's a little bit of, when it first puffs up, you feel like you got to pop your ears once, but it's not a big deal. Oh, Hanu has done hyperbaric and says it made him feel totally exhausted after, or her probably. Sometimes the first couple sessions that can happen, and that's probably a healing response. So what'll happen there is you do it a few times and suddenly feel energized. Devin says, can you do the same thing in a pool? Yes and no. You could actually, with a scuba mask, bring oxygen down and just be at the deep end of the pool and breathe oxygen under pressure. And holy crap, that really works. In fact, the world's most prolific inventor sits at the bottom of a deep pool with a chalkboard that you can write underwater with, and has hundreds and hundreds of patents that he came up with by meditating, breathing oxygen underwater. This is probably a little bit easier. And then Simio, your 94-year-old granny, would think this is nuts. She totally would. In fact, she's 94. She probably also, smokes and still is 94. I love my elders who are just like, oh, you young kids. I'm like, dude, I'm mid-40s. I'm not young. I'm like, yes, you are. My grandmother, by the way, is 97. And she definitely thinks a lot of the stuff is nuts. But I tell you, I do, and whoever that troll was earlier, I do put brain octane in her stuff, and she thinks I'm less nuts when I do that. So maybe it works. Yeah, Hanu, you felt awful. It's called a Herxheimer reaction. You had cells that were basically in a suspended animation is a good description for it. And they woke up, and they had to basically cough some crap out is what happened there. If you took some activated charcoal, you'd probably feel better. Satnam says, crank that O2 up to 10 liters per minute. Satnam, you are correct. 10 is better. When I crank it up to 10, the pump on my oxygen concentrator starts giving this annoying buzzing sound that just makes me angry, and it's like an alert, because it can't push against 1.5 liters very well. Need a new oxygen concentrator, but I'm saving myself a couple grand this way. I figure if I am only at 8, I'll be okay. Jane Butler, if your doctor's lying to me and it's just oxygen, you've done nasal ozone percolated, what's going on there? Now your doctors can do ozone therapy to you, with you, and ozone therapy is something, you've got to hear Frank Schallenberger, brand new podcast he's been on. He's the father of ozone therapy. Ozone therapy saved me from toxic mold and Lyme disease when I was really sick, when I weighed 300 pounds. I'm 10.3% body fat as of my last scan earlier this week. So I'll tell you, ozone is the single most important thing that I would care about during this epidemic or any other. The most broad spectrum thing you can do. In terms of nasal ozone percolated, you can put ozone into water and then snort the water with a neti pot, and that can help you with sinus infections and things like that. The Bingmeister, on my hat, my 12-year-old daughter I was mentioning earlier, she made this hat for me after New Year's Eve. There's some copper strips that I think are for making circuit boards, and some copper wires, jewelry wire, and some crystals of various forms from Michael's. So we had a big art-making party, and, I'm wearing it because it's good. Sid's Hider says, does hyperbaric do anything for nerves? Yeah, if you're trying to remyelinate your nerves, which is a problem that if you've had toxic mold or Lyme disease or things, heavy metals, your myelination won't work as well. And this actually really does help with remyelination if you're eating the right fats and not the wrong fats. The right fats would be butter, egg yolks, grass-fed beef, sunflower lecithin, soy lecithin, stuff like that. You are not going to get the myelination you want if you're just eating plant oils. In fact, you probably get the opposite of what you want. BFS Bash, is that oxygen? Yes. Oh, Health Hacker Gemma, you did this after surgery on your shoulder. Yeah, wound healing, burn healing, any kind of surgery heals way faster with hyperbaric. This is like basically turbocharging for your cells. J. Lynn Vigil, does this help with people who have mold damage? Yes. It turns their brain back on. Do ozone and hyperbaric. You gotta do them separately. It will bring you back. It did for me. You guys don't understand. When I weighed 300 pounds, I mean, it was like putting one foot in front of the other was all I could do. I was exhausted. My brain was foggy. I couldn't remember anything. I was emotional all the time, like angry. It's mold. And if you haven't seen it, moldymovie.com is a documentary I did, like a full-on professional one at my own cost. It's free. You can check it out. Jasmine, it's hyperbaric oxygen. Donna, I am going to do a live for the coaches of Bulletproof, aka Human Performance Institute. Yes, humanperformanceinstitute.com or HPI probably. And I have a whole big thing coming up for your coaches that's dedicated. And if you're listening to this, there's actually more than 1,000 coaches certified in my techniques. It's pretty amazing. And I'm grateful to be able to share that stuff. Bashi, does it feel claustrophobic? It's pretty big. I mean, I've got a lot of space in here. I could sit up if I kind of hunch over. And you can always just turn the knob and open it, so it's not like I have to wait for someone else. In Dirt, you can get the most affordable one of these brand new for $4,000. If you were to go use someone else's, like at a clinic, it's going to cost about $150 a session and up. And 40 sessions is what they recommend, so you do the math. 40 times 140 equals more than $4,000. So here's what you do. You buy one on a credit card, you use it 40 times, and then you sell it for most of what you paid for it on Craigslist to someone else who desperately needs it. And you basically save huge amounts of money that way. Thanks for the comments on the hat. MTM Coach, Natalie, do we need 1 million of these in tossed events? I don't know about that. There are doctors who are more qualified to treat that than me. I can tell you though, ventilators, 88% of people with COVID die on ventilators. Oh, and by the way, 80% of people die on ventilators without COVID. Ventilators suck. Putting $500 million towards ventilators when we could basically give intravenous vitamin C to everyone who needs it for that price? Dude, bad math. Intravenous vitamin C, by the way, has been used for decades and decades. It's helped me feel better. And for COVID, there's a very specific scientific reason we need it, and it's not what people think. I'm working on a really big post, should be up either tonight or tomorrow, that puts together the 2 or 3 different pathways that we've got to hack in order to get it. None of them require drugs, but fortunately, I've identified pharmaceutical solutions for everything that actually has a natural solution. So that way, if we need to get big pharma and prescription pads and economics and insurance companies and WHO and all involved, go to it, man. Sell the drugs. Just use the drugs that actually solve the chain of events that is bringing people down. We understand what they are now, so I'm eager to share it. It's gonna be really cool. It's just medicine's used to things being linear. When you have one thing that has 2 different sets of symptoms, they get all confused, and it's actually 2 things that's causing 2 different sets of symptoms with one cause. And that just throws them for a loop. We can fix that, and it's cheap. That's what's important. I honestly believe that we have the information available right now so that 90+% of us have no need to go to the hospital whatsoever, and the ones who do go will not need ventilators. This is achievable with what we have right now. And you could say, Dave, what do you know? You're not a doctor? I could say, didn't know I had to be one to do science. So I'll share it. And if you don't like it, you can always unfollow. I'm good. But it's here for you. And by the way, you don't have to buy anything that I make in order to do that kind of stuff. But there's a couple things I make that might help. And I feel freaking awesome about that. And if it makes you hate me, that's okay too. I'm not here for you to love me. All right. How much do I sauna these days and for how long? Windsor, I'm kind of a tough guy in the sauna. I could do an hour at the highest setting on my far infrared sauna. I've got a sunlighting here at the house, and I could be at 140 something, and I'll break out in a sweat after 40 minutes. So I like to do an hour. Let's see. Oh, Jane Butler's doing ozone through olive oil. If you breathe ozone that's bubbled through olive oil, it actually makes It's not called ozonites. It's called like peroxy somethings. I'm forgetting what it's called. I've done that. I didn't find it very effective, but you can. Oh, cool. Some major network, CNBC or something, or 23ABC says they're confirming some of my things. Basically, like, let's get off the COVID ventilator fetish thing. It's not working. It's a waste of resources. We can do better. Alright guys, I got like 2 more minutes. My wife is calling. I got to get out of this thing because we got a call in a little bit. Why do some people have some symptoms and some don't? Some of it is genetic. Your HLA-DR genetics. Listen to my podcast with Mansoor Mohammed from The DNA Company, or you can go to thednacompany.com. They have a bunch of good info. But basically, your genetics describe your inflammasome, and a lot of times, if your mitochondria don't work, you don't handle hypoxia very well. If your mitochondria work well, your cells can stand up to being low on oxygen for a while, and you keep on ticking. Other people, you turn down. All right. Let's see. BFF Bash, don't let people like Christoph waste my time. I love people like Christoph. You know, if you're watching me and I piss you off, it means I'm making you think. It's okay. I actually have fun with that. And the Elemental Heart. We appreciate my honesty even when I change my mind. It's really helpful. Thank you, Elemental Heart. I will totally change my mind. I've been wrong. It's happened like one time. It was like 20 years ago. I'm kidding. Seriously, I evolved my thinking. I used to think keto was like the whole thing in 1999. And after practice on that... Alright. Alright, Alan, I know I have a call at 4. I will be out in the house by 4. Tell Mommy, okay? 3:54? Alright. He says hi. Alright, tell her I'll be there, okay? Alright. Guys, I love my life. Is that cool or what? That was my son, Alan. He's like a remote paging service. Anyway, what I was saying is, I get, I'll change my mind. In keto, I used to think like, oh, you'll never need a carb again. And then I experimented and I tried it, and that's why I wrote the Bulletproof diet. Like, you have to cycle your keto. You need more carbs than you can get on an keto diet, and that's why there's dirty keto today. Some of these knockoff brands like keto's all you need. No, in, out. Keto's a tool, food's a tool. You don't have to use just one tool. If you have a hammer, you don't need a nail for everything. Sometimes you need a screwdriver. By the way, did you see my post about whole grains at Whole Foods? I just posted it right before I went live. People are getting really mad at me for saying that whole wheat might give you muffin top. Alright, hey Jason Strauss, good to see you, man. Alright, how long is hyperbaric? A standard session is 1 minute at 1.4, sorry, 1 minute, 1 hour at 1.4 atmospheres, so about an hour and 8 minutes. Alright, getting Kelly Brogan on? I thought Kelly Brogan was on, maybe she's coming on. Alright, thoughts on C60 from 180 Nutrition? Check out the podcast I did with Ian Mitchell about that, it was really good. Any brands of chamber that I recommend? I'm in Oxy Health, which is kind of the physician's grade one. Summit to C is the most affordable one that you can see right now. Natalie, can you drink bulletproof coffee while fasting? Yes! I've asked several experts about it. I wrote it in the Bulletproof diet. It's called Bulletproof Intermittent Fasting. You can't put collagen in your coffee. I invented putting collagen in coffee. And I'm telling you, don't do that if you're doing fasting. You can lower the butter, but put a little bit of butter in there for a water chemistry reason, and put some brain octane in there because your fasting doesn't hurt when you do that. So I would say totally do that. All right, one more question, then I got to get out of here. Well, I got a lot of questions on here. Did I say DNA.com? It's called thednacompany.com. And this is not ozone, it's hyperbaric oxygen. And if you listen to what's going on in this thing, you can you just listen to this whole thing. I'll put the whole recording up, but it's hyperbaric oxygen. Dio Rizvi says I'm not making sense. Ms. Cocktails still watching. Thank you. Best carb D when transitioning from strict keto to dirty keto. Dirty keto means you eat inflammatory protein and bad fats and artificial sweeteners, as long as it's not a carb. So what you want to do with keto is move to cyclical keto. When you're in keto, try the Bulletproof product. Yeah, I make it, and I'm happy I make it. It's called Inner Fuel. That stuff will work really well for you. And on that note, I'm going to pop the lid on this thing, remote control for the compressor. I'm going to let the air out. It's going to be a little bit more noisy now, because I got a phone call in like 3 minutes and everyone's waiting for me. In fact, on that note, my friends, I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Check out the post I just put up there. It's really funny. See you guys later.